What's good? What's good? Ooga, ooga. To the originals, man. Y'all in here, man. I'm traveling with y'all, bro. Skis. Y'all traveling with me, man. Out here in beautiful Raleigh, man. Y'all know the vibes, man. Yeah, man. So we here now, man. We getting back to now. I told you I'm coming with some stuff, man. That's gonna be relevant, bro. It's good to see y'all, man. Ooga. Y'all know the vibes, man. OC, original Indians in the motherfucking building, man. Y'all know how the originals, man. Talk to me. Drop some likes in that chat. Drop some feathers in that chat, man. Hit that like button, man. You already know what time it is, man. We gonna get in here. We gonna be talking about this AI, man. You understand? I'm gonna give it a little time and let it rock for a little bit, man. Y'all already know what you tuned into, man. Y'all know the vibes, man. Come on, man. Y'all know the vibes, man. It's good to have you here. For whatever reason you here, that's a personal issue. You think what I'm talking about? Whatever you here for is as long as you here, but it's a personal issue, man. But we gonna dig into it. I got some videos, some footage I wanna show y'all. You know, the creation of how this AI came about, why this is so important, because you see this becoming the future. Our kids have to deal with this type of technology, so it's very prevalent that they learn about what's going on. You feel what I'm saying? Hold on, let me check this audio. Y'all can hear me? It's very prevalent. Okay, yeah, we in the building, so I'm gonna let it rock for a minute, man. You already know what time it is, man. You tuned in, man. With your boy, the Urban Indian original. You feel what I'm saying? So we gonna rock for a second, then we gonna get back to it. Peace. Y'all already know the vibes, man. Y'all traveling with me. I'm traveling with y'all, man. Welcome. Y'all already know what time it is, man. About to get into it, man. We're about to go and walk down this path of understanding AI, man, and where it came from. You feel what I'm saying? We gonna dig on into that. Feel me? And we gonna get it done, man. I appreciate everybody coming out. Y'all know the vibes. What y'all smoking? Just smoke it over. Smoke Thursday, so we smoke over here. You dig what I'm talking about? Shout out to the tribe, man. Love y'all, man. I appreciate y'all coming through, man. I'm always motherfucking blessed with the tribe, man. Always. But now we gonna get into this visual, man. I'm trying to hold on, hit the robot. Still got. So we gonna get into that, bro. Y'all see why we gonna get into understanding this AI, how it's important and how it's gonna be very, very, prevalent in the future, bro. And what we need to do as individuals in order to curb, some of the misconceptions that can happen. It's a movie out about these AIs. I'm gonna put it in the chat. I want y'all to peep that shit. That shit go hard on your way in, man. Go ahead and tomahawk that like button, man. I know the vibes, man, already. Y'all here with the original Indian, man. We about to get into it.
I'm David Wayne, and as all of you are, I'm concerned with the world in which we're going to live tomorrow. A world in which a new machine, the digital computer, may be of even greater importance than the atomic bomb. Can machines really think? Even the scientists argue that one.
I don't believe that we can say yet that machines do think. I have a basic question which I always ask, and that is, are these producing anything really new? Until I see a machine producing genuinely new things, I will not agree that machines think.
I confidently expect that within a matter of 10 or 15 years, something will emerge from the laboratories which is not too far from the robot of science fiction fame.
The Thinking Machine, starring David Wayne. In a moment, that story.
With me tonight is Professor Jerome B. Wiesner, director of...
Uber. Y'all in here, we in here. Hit that like button, man. Y'all know the vibes, man. Let's do it.
What worries me today is what's going to happen to us if machines can think. And what interests me specifically is, can they?
Well, that's a very hard question to answer. If you'd asked me that question just a few years ago, I'd have said it was very far-fetched. And today, I just have to admit, I don't really know. I suspect if you come back in 4 or 5 years, I'll say, sure, they really do think.
Well, if you're confused, Doctor, how do you think I feel? Professor Wiesner, I don't think I have to tell you that the conception of the robot, a thinking machine, has been man's dream for centuries, also his nightmare. Of course, up until recently, the exploitation of that dream has been largely in the hands of science fiction writers and my colleagues in the motion picture industry. Do you remember a great robot in the silent film Metropolis?
No, I don't think I ever saw that one.
Well, I'd like you to see that.
It'd be very nice.
Okay, Charlie, roll it.
Yo, there's so much great symbolism in this shit, talking points in this shit. It's ridiculous, bro. You gotta peep, it's deep.
That movie professor is still way ahead of us, you know.
Is he?
He is, and, if I'd seen that movie as a youngster, I'd probably been afraid of science.
Doctor, when that film was made, and it wasn't too long ago, the thinking machine concept was still in the realm of make-believe. What do you think about it today?
Well, the reason that's such a very hard question to answer is we know so very little about thought processes or about information that makes up thought processes. There are many things which machines can do today which, if they were done by human beings, you would certainly call thinking. Have you ever watched a child try to learn the alphabet? I've got a piece of film here that I'd like to have you see.
Down, up, down, up. Do you know that letter? Oh, M? No, it looks like an M, but it isn't. It's a W. An M upside down, isn't it? I'm going to make an X there, and you see if you can draw over the same lines that I make. Down, and up. Can you do that? The same lines, honey. That's right. That's fine. What letter is it?
W.
That's right, good. Now you see if you can make it.
Of course, she makes mistakes at first. The real question is, how does she ever learn to get them right?
I can copy yours.
That's right, you copy mine.
Well, do you mean to tell me that you don't even know yet how a child learns the letters of the alphabet?
Psychologists who study the problem have a lot of ideas about what goes on, but no real explanation. A letter is simply a pattern.
That's very true, Stan. That's very true.
Do you know what letter that is?
L.
Peace to you, original. Peace. How you? Welcome, bro. Peace.
So, that's one reason we're so interested in the computer and what it can be made to do.
Are you suggesting that the computer can do what this child is doing?
Yes, I am. The computer is a remarkable machine, and later on in the program, we're going to see it write an original TV Western. But first, let's see how the youngster is doing here.
What letter is it?
L.
P. Now, can you tell me what this letter is? Do you remember this one? It's a W.
Now let's see if the computer has as much trouble with the alphabet.
You mean we're going to see the computer do what the child did?
I hope so.
Now, does that really prove that machines can learn?
I'll tell you what it does. It compares the letter you write with the letter you first showed it. And as it gets more and more information about what is called a W, for example, it is more and more better able to make a judgment about whether the letter that's being written on the screen is, in fact, a W or not. Let's see.
Okay, Larry, let's read in the program again.
Well, at least I know what a program is. A program's the rules you want the computer to follow. Now what are they doing? Showing the computer the alphabet for the first time?
Yes, in just the same way the teacher did with a child. Incidentally, for convenience, you see we're using P's and W's, too.
Okay, now we have those characters in the machine. We'll try some tests with them. Here's a W. Call it a D. It's pretty poor, but on the other hand, it doesn't have much knowledge. Well, here's a P for it. Try another P. Should get it this time. Okay. Wow.
Well, now that's luck. That's pure luck.
No, as a matter of fact, one thing the computer can't do is fool the teacher. On the next try, look at the line below the letter. The longer the line, the surer the computer is of its answer.
Good enough. That's a pretty good percentage, as indicated by that bottom bar. 80%, sure. That's pretty good.
Now, do you call that learning?
Well, I know that if my wife and I saw our kids going through that process, we'd call it learning. So, machines really can learn.
You know, we don't really know much about the thought processes, and this is why I'm so hesitant. But we are studying the problem. It's being studied in very many places and by people in many disciplines.
You mean psychologists, psychiatrists, philosophers, and so on?
Yes, and electrical engineers and mathematicians and others.
Well, if the computer is this important, why haven't I heard more about it?
Well, the computer is a relatively new thing, and we're just really getting an appreciation for the full range of its usefulness. Many people think it's going to spark a revolution that will change the face of the earth almost as much as the first industrial revolution did.
Well, now this brings me back to my original question. Can machines think? Now, I mean by that thinking, that process we try to avoid when we have a problem to solve.
You mean like I'm trying to do in avoiding your question? Do you remember that puzzle about the cannibals and the missionaries?
I do remember that. That's when we tried to cross the river with the missionaries and the cannibals without the missionaries getting eaten.
Yes, that's the one. Well, out at Carnegie Tech, Professors Simon and Newell are doing some very interesting work trying to understand that kind of logical problem. Let me show you.
Problem.
This is Professor H.A. Simon.
3 missionaries and 3 cannibals are trying to cross a broad river so that they can reach a town on the other side. They have a rowboat, the cannibals. They have a rowboat, which will, however, hold only 2 at a time. All of them know how to row. There's one difficulty. No group of missionaries and cannibals may be on either side of the river at any time if the cannibals in the group outnumber the missionaries, because the missionaries would be eaten. Now, the problem is to plan a series of trips that will get all 3 missionaries and all 3 cannibals across the river in the boat without anyone being eaten. Do you have any questions now, Barbara? Well, you may start now. Please remember to say aloud as much as you can about what you're thinking, and you may move the missionaries and cannibals to try different combinations of them.
There's only one boat.
There's just one boat, and only 2 can sit in it at a time. Why don't you take them across and see how it would work, remembering that the boat always has to come back with someone to get the next load.
Then I have the missionary bring the boat back and take one of the missionaries.
Careful, that man is going to get eaten.
Well, I guess I wouldn't do that. Is it possible for any of them to swim?
No, I'm afraid they are non-swimmers.
Well, I'll bring one of the missionaries over by himself.
Poor Barbara. You know, I sympathize with her. I remember how baffled I was the first time I tried that problem.
Well, Barbara's bright, and she'll get it after a bit. As a matter of fact, in a moment I'll show you her solution. That's why Professor Simon asks her to talk aloud as she works. So you'll have a record of what she says.
And then I'll bring the other one over, and that's it.
Very good. That's the correct solution. And now we'll go and try the same thing out with the computer on the coast.
Oh, no. Now, don't tell me you're going to try to get that computer to do the same thing. Has it found the solution already?
Yeah, and in just a second we'll have a chance to look at the answer.
Is that the answer you have there?
Yes, as a matter of fact, it's both answers. We've typed out Barbara's solution on computer paper, too. Can you tell which is which?
Do I have to answer that? How does the machine do it, Doctor?
Well, Professor Simon thinks that logical processes are really quite simple and only appear complex because there are so many of them in cascade.
Well, does that mean that the machine tries every possible answer?
No, it does just what a person does. It tries those things which seem most likely.
Well, how does the machine know what's likely?
Well, a person knows what's likely on a basis of experience. The machine knows what's most likely on a basis of probabilities or reasonableness that has been programmed into it, that is told to it in advance.
Well, what else can computers do?
Well, many things, though, as I've already said, we're just really beginning to understand the capabilities of the computers. I've got some film to illustrate this point, which I think will amaze you.
That man isn't playing checkers against a computer, is he?
Sure, and it plays pretty well.
Now, which color is the machine playing?
Black. The player pushes those switches to tell the machine his moves. Incidentally, he has to make the machine's moves on the checkerboard as well.
Well, then how does he determine the machine's moves?
By watching those lights on the console. Machine also prints out its moves.
Who's that watching?
He's Dr. A.L. Samuel, an MIT graduate, now with IBM. Dr. Samuel programmed the computer to play checkers so he could study machine learning. Let's see what it's printing out now.
How in the world did it do that? Dr. Wiesner, how does a computer work?
Well, it would take too long to give you a detailed explanation, but I think I can give you a simple explanation of the principles if you want. You can make a little box that you can put signals into, and every time you put a pulse into it, it adds. And with these devices, you can make adders, you can make multipliers, and you can make devices which do a number of other mathematical operations. Now, with these various building blocks, and it's just a very few of them, you can organize much more complicated mathematical problems. And what you do is what we call programming. You lay out a series of steps, and you have to tell the machine every blessed single step you want it to do, because it can't do anything unless you do this. And this we call a program. We feed it into the machine, and it carries out the operations we've told it to do one at a time. Of course, there is a saving grace here, which is very important. And once the machine has learned how to do something, it can print out into its permanent memory, the tape, or on a piece of paper of the kind we've seen, the instructions for doing this, and you never have to think about that particular thing again.
Well, does the nervous system work like a computer?
No, not really, though there are many similarities between computers and living nervous systems. But neurophysiologists who work on the problem think there are many more differences than there are similarities. The fact of the matter is, though, that both systems use electrical signals, that is, electrical potentials and pulses.
Well, then, by following the complicated steps that a computer takes, the steps and stages in solving a problem, can you learn how or more about how the nervous system works?
Well, what you can learn is a good deal about thought processes, or at least simulated thought processes by this method, but it's very dangerous to carry this analogy too far.
Well, if I told you all about my particular problem, could you solve that on a computer?
Well, it'd probably take a
Well, that's
psychiatrist.
my problem. I think I better ask my question over again. You have to tell a computer what to do. In other words, all of the computers that we've seen have been programmed, that is, have been told by men what to do.
Yes, but you know, that's really not a valid argument, because there's every evidence that men are programmed too. That is, they have certain built-in programming.
Now, wait a minute, Dr. Wiesner. Are you suggesting that men are born with something?
Oh no, you're fine, yo. You can speak freely, bro. You can speak on whatever. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no worries. You good.
Other ways. That is, there are really two ways in which you can get programming. There is the hereditary part, that is the part you're born with. And you can also get information or programming in your brain by experience, that is, by learning.
Well, surely in higher animals, learning is more important.
We like to think that anyway.
Can you give me an example of programming in something that's alive?
Yes, I can. I've got something over here. Can you tell me what this silhouette's supposed to represent?
Well, it doesn't remind me of anything in particular.
If I hold it up here like this, does it look like a goose to you?
Yes, it does.
Now, if I turn it around, what's it make you think of?
Well, if we're still thinking about birds, I'd say it was a hawk.
You did pretty well. Let's see if a duck can do as well. The ducklings used in this experiment have been raised in isolation. They've never seen any other birds.
And there I see is our friend the goose. Well, there wasn't any reaction at all, was there?
No, there wasn't. That's what interested Professor Melzack. You're seeing what happened when he first did this experiment in the London Zoo. If you were a duck, would you worry if you saw a goose?
You mean he will worry when Professor Melzack changes that goose into a hawk?
Well, let's watch.
Oh, that's a really frightened duck.
Well, not all ducks react this way. Some are simply wary when they see their first hawk. Mr. Wayne?
Well, what I gather from this is that this duck that never had been exposed in its life to any other kind of a bird can now suddenly differentiate between a goose and a hawk. Now, you call that some kind of programming. To me, that's what I would call instinct.
Well, I'd agree with you. Instinct is the word you use. I'm using programming, or at least that part of programming which is determined by heredity. You see, animals seem to start life with a large part of their nervous system knowing what to do. That's the reason why we breathe and why our heart beats and why babies know how to cry or when to cry when they need help.
Well, do you mean that instinct turns out to be some kind of programming that we're born with?
Yes, that's using our language. Let me show you some very interesting research that was done on the frog last year at MIT by Professors Lettvin and Maturano, which seems to indicate that some animals, at least, are born with very much more built-in information than we used to suspect was the case.
Well, does it show that we're born with programming?
But what it does show is that in the frog, at least, the frog's eye reports only very specific information to the brain.
You mean that the optic nerve of the frog doesn't report everything it sees?
No, it reports only very specific things, things which seem to be very important to the survival of the frog. Let's take a look at the next film.
Well, now, the frog doesn't pay any attention to those dead flies. Isn't he hungry?
Sure, but his eyes don't see them. He's hungry, all right. Watch.
Well, if he didn't eat any of the dead flies, why did he eat the fly on the string?
Well, you know, that's what Professor Letvin's trying to find out. It seems that the frog only sees things that move. Here, Letvin's looking through the microscope into the frog's brain, preparing to put a tiny electrode into one of the fibers in the frog's optic nerve.
You mean when the fiber sees something, it'll send a signal through the electrode that we can see?
Yes, and you'll hear it, too. Now Professor Lettvin is putting a target, that semicircular hemisphere, in front of the frog's eye. And then, using a magnet on the back of the target, he can move a small metal disc around the target until he finds the point at which the particular fiber is looking. There, he's found it. See, it sends an electrical signal through the electrode.
Well, what's the professor doing now?
Well, he's trying to find out just what kind of things make this particular fiber react.
It looks to me as though this fiber reacts every time something moves.
It does.
Well, that could explain why the frog didn't eat the dead flies. They didn't move, so he couldn't see them.
Well, that's Professor Letvin's suggestion, anyway. He said to himself, suppose the fibers in a frog's eye look only for specific kinds of things in the world around them. Now, as we've seen, one kind of fiber apparently only reports movement. And here, Professor Lettvin is looking for a different kind. You see, this fiber reports to the brain when anything small enough to eat moves into view, and it keeps reporting as long as the object remains there.
Well, why?
Yeah, so we're gonna get into more of it. This video was 2 hours. You know damn well I'm not about to sit up here on the internet for no damn 2 hours. So what I'm gonna break it down in quarter. I'm gonna break it down in 4, 30, 30, 30, 30. I'll do another part later on sometime, probably like 8 or something tonight. I'll do another 30 more minutes of it, then I'll do another 30, then another 30, and we can bust it all the way down. Then I'll put it in a playlist, and you can just watch them in order. You feel me? If you want to. You know what I mean? I ain't got to. I'm saying if you want to. You feel me? But yeah, man, you in here with me, man. You vibing and you traveling with me. So once again, man, I appreciate everybody that come out and show their love, man. So, you know, it's only the trial, man. I appreciate the conversation in the chat, too. Very decent, man. Very decent, man. You too, man. That's what I'll do, but I'll break that down, man. 'Cause I got some things I gotta do. I would sit up here and do it, but I really can't. I can't sit down that long anyway. I got like a attention deficit or some shit. I don't know. It's 4 hours, 3 hours sitting down in front of a computer. It's not gonna happen. Ever. You know what I'm saying? So, plus my son is up acting crazy. It was born. But man, I appreciate it. Hey, Majid, sorry for messing your name up, but you too, man. I appreciate the conversation. I gotta bring you up here, man, so we can build on it, man. I think you got some insightful information I would love to learn, but I don't know enough about it. I would speak on it, trying to learn. So I guess as I learn more and grow in it, then, you know, we can definitely double conversation, because I'll go chase it. I definitely will. You know, but I got some other things that's concerned that got my time right now, as far as like genealogy and shit like that. You feel me? So, you know, we're gonna get to it, man, but I appreciate everybody, man, coming in here, support, man, the Turtle, man, only us, esoteric, man, that's all I want around me, man. You dig what I'm saying? So until next time, man, we're gonna be talking about this AI and the growth of AI, where it came from, who had concepts and ideas in it, why, where is it going, how's it going to affect us. We want to speak on these things, man, and, you know, and build, man, and really get into some information, man, and get away from the, you know, the bullshit that's going on in the community, the pissing contest. I don't mean, you know the vibes, man. I appreciate y'all coming out here, man. Y'all tuned in, man, with the one and only, man. I'm a hood Indian, man. Chief Nedja. You know me by many faces, man. Many faces, man. We do a lot here, bro. Try and get it done, man. You know what I'm saying? And it's working. It's working, man. It's working. But I appreciate everybody's love, respect, honor. You taking out your time to come out here and vibe with us, man. You know, we only just try and teach what's relevant, bro. You know, AI, artificial intelligence, even the alien topic the brother brought up is very important. Something that we can at least touch on, at least speak on it. You know what I'm saying? We also can do other things where we can, you know, help one another understand where other individuals are coming from mentally. I don't really care geographically, but, you know, mentally, you know how it goes, man. But yeah, man, you tuned in, man. It's only us, man. That's the thing we gotta realize. You know, once we realize that, bro, we'll be alright. But we in here, man. We done talked about many topics, man. Many topics, bro. Many topics. We not playing in here, man. We do it all, bro. Going hard for it, bro. You understand? We be on everything in here, man. So, you know, we just want y'all to come vibe with us, man. Get it done, man. But until next time, man, peace, love, and light. Most certainly, most definitely. But that's the power of the internet technology, man. It got its pros and its cons, you know. You ain't got to be in the same room, or even in the same continent, you know. And we can still make powerful moves, man. Get up and build, man. That's the up to this, all of this. You know what I'm saying? But it does have its negative and its, you know, evil side to it. Unfortunately, but you know, such is life. You gotta create the balance. It's just all about what side you're gonna help balance out. Evil or good, you know, and that's what it comes down to. But man, I want to tell everybody, thank you, man. We out of here, man. Till next time, man. Y'all know the vibes, bro. Peace and love.